that sounds like an airplane. I don't know if you guys can hear the airplane in the background, but there's one there. Okay, so I started making this video and then I got messaged and it kind of threw off the video. But here we go again. This knife, again, a combat knife, like the FX10 dagger, it is that 420 stainless, I believe, and problem with 420 stainless is it's kind of brittle, you know. That said, everything else about the knife I love. It's got that little broom handle thing, very fast. It's got the grip here, hope I can capture, but this thing that you cannot slip on that at all. On the grip, like again, that rubberized grip, you get a little bit of slippage, but this, I mean, you can def grip that, you'd lose a thumbnail before you'd ever slip on that. The edge is, you know, you can sharpen it probably like 18 to 29 degrees, depending on, I tend to go more for utility edge. A lot of guys will get knives like this and try to make them into razor blades. You know, it's a lot of sharpening for little payout. That said, this is a very sharp knife. Good cutting and fast. You know, like, I mean, it's one of my favorite, like, as a fighting knife, I don't think there's too many fighting knives that are as cool in design as this. It's just so comfortable in the hand. It's light, it's fast, you know, but again, they made it with that cheap stainless. Why would they do that? And I used it as a bit of a trapping knife, so the goo you see on there is, you know. But a beautiful blade. Love the design. The handle, again, I love these handles. Give you made in China, of course. Even China's made in China, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, you get that good, again, as a fighting knife. I mean, like the Fixation dagger, I believe these were kind of designed as a pair. It was law enforcement and military actually helped to design these knives, and they designed an awesome knife, but then they made it out of the cheapest material possible. Well, maybe not cheapest material possible, you get what I'm saying. Why would you design something so cool and then make it out of 420 stainless? Shame, 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 SOG. Because if they made this out of like 1095 or an SUS8 or whatever steel, then this thing would be a tank, and it would be probably the most awesome combat knife on the planet. Just the handling of it, it's that little broom handle thing I just love. That said, that means prying on the tip. If it's stainless, you're going to bust it. If you baton it, you're going to bust it. Some people get away with it for a little bit, but I mean, if you really wail on the thing, like, I can't do the things to this that I've done to my K-bar. That said, do I like the knife? I love the knife. If you use it as a utility knife, like for bushcraft, I would say, you know, you could, you know, spruce limbs, definitely, you know, like small game butchering, that type of thing. You know, you could use it for, you know, light utility. You know, it's strong enough. Like, it's this thing. I mean, it's not a, it's not a glass, a piece of glass. It's not going to break easily, but it's just not going to take the durability that you would rely on it to save your life if you were, law enforcement or military or whatever. That said, if I were to put it into a category between fighting knife and combat knife, I would say it would be a 70-30. 70% fighting knife, 30% utility. That's just my kind of take on it, It's a great knife for the price. They were $35, but again, they're starting to go up in price, and that's okay. But for a knife that's made out of 420 stainless, you really don't want it to go too high in price, because then you start losing out on that kind of value. The weakest point of this knife would probably be in the, right there, in the tang, where the tang meets the hilt. So, but other than that, like I say, everybody I know that has these knives really enjoys them, but you do have to understand the limitation of it. So, would I buy this knife, take it overseas, and rely on it? No. Would I buy it and go camping with it? Definitely, in a heartbeat. Again, I don't recommend batoning it, and just about everything else is just about fair game. As a fighting knife for handling, this is the cat's meow. Again, if they can make the same knife in a better grade steel, they would have a winner, and they could probably even charge 3 times the price and still be a high value knife. We got a good blade on there. Like it's good and thick. It's just the material. That I don't know why any knife would be made out of stainless unless it's a kitchen knife or a butchering knife. Anything that requires any sort of durability, you really don't want to use 420 stainless. Even 440 stainless hardened, you can get away with some of it. Like, I'm sure they do other things to it to temper it and stuff like that. But again, it's 420 stainless. Stainless is typically you know, especially 420 stainless, is typically not going to last as long as you would like. The other drawbacks to 420 stainless is that it's harder to sharpen. All stainless is, because stainless is a work hardening material. What that means is when you file it, it actually grinds the filings into the material and clogs up your file. So you need a diamond file to put a good edge on it. That said, you get a diamond file on this. I have sharpened it with stones, but the diamond file really puts a nice edge on this. The upside to stainless, well, again, if you're a Navy SEAL or something like that, or Special Forces, Canadian Forces, and you're, you know, a frogman, whatever, you don't have to worry about salt water with these. The rubber handle weld, the salt water is not going to affect it in the short term. You know, it'll be in a long time before that rot out the handle. And the stainless, well, it doesn't care. I guess that's about all I could say about this knife. Again, it's kind of a budget Bowie knife, but it's better than most budget Bowie knives. Like, I mean, it is a really good knife. You know, in the bottom line, it is a really good knife for the money. But again, some of them are approaching. I've seen some places they want to charge you about 50, 60 bucks for it. I don't know if I'd want to pay that much for it. At that money, I say pay a little more, get the K-bar. It's a lot tougher. But if you're buying it as a fighting knife, the design is just fantastic. I can't say enough about it. I don't know what else I could say about it, but if you have any questions on it, just ask me. But you know, again, me talking about the 420 stainless, I'm not telling people that so that they don't buy it. In fact, I highly encourage you buy one of these. I don't sell them or anything. It's just that, you know, I like cool knives. But for just the treat of throwing this thing around, you know, and again, I'm advocating a martial art, not advocating doing something stupid. And I assume no liability for your stupidity, you know. But I mean, this is a really, you know, fast in hand knife. But this, you're gonna like that. So just for that factor alone, like, you know, it's you know, it's like having a sports car and a regular, you know, a Chevette and a Corvette. You might drive the Chevette a little more on day to day, but you're always going to, you know, it's always nice to take the Corvette out for a spin, you know. It's just, even if you can't take it out on day. So you might have a better knife that you might use on a regular basis, but this is also a lot of fun too. That said, like I say, it's not super fragile, but it's just, I wouldn't want to rely on it to save my life. I guess that's about all I can say about it. Oh, overall length, I believe, is 11.5 or 11 7/8. About the same length as the K-bar, and I think you got about a 7-inch blade. Again, I should look up the specs before I do these, but I think you get the idea anyway. It's a good size knife. Just to finish up, and those reviews going along, but this is one of those you know, awesome knives that, you know, you got to kind of, you know, capture it all. One thing I love about the Fixation line is the, again, I got a lighter in there. I love the sheath. I mean, you know, they build an awesome sheath, they design a phenomenal knife, and they build it out of cheap materials. Why would they do that? You know, that's just like insulting. It's like, here's what you could almost have, you know. You got the quick snap there, a little different than the Fixation dagger, but this nylon, or whatever you want to call it, I forget the proper name for it, but got a generous loop there. I mean, it's not the biggest loop, but it's not bad. But I just like this little pouch here. And again, you could put a sharpening stone in there. You can put, think of the Rambo knife. Anything that's in the butt handle of a Rambo knife, you can put in there. Hooks and, you know, fishing line. But I tell people, if you were lost in the bush, what would you more likely need? A sharpening stone or a lighter? I say a lighter. Maybe matches in there. I mean, I could put almost 2 lighters in there, really. Or a thin diamond file sharpening. I guess can't really say stone, but, and hooks, matches, line, band-aids. I mean, it's a pretty cool sheath. And again, you know, like that's how much pocket you get there. Cuts down on the bulk of putting it elsewhere, and it puts it where you need it. So, I guess that's about all I'm going to say on this one. Hope you enjoyed the review. Again, I highly, highly recommend buying a knife like this. This particular knife is very popular to begin with, but it's popular for all the right reasons, but I think it's overlooked in some of the other things, such as the material. Again, it's not a bad knife. It's not a, it's not a porcelain knife. It's not going to break on you easily, but it's just not going to take the abuse that you'd like it to take. That said, there we go. Okay, we have a SOG Fixation Bowie. That sounds like an airplane. I don't know if you guys can hear the airplane in the background, but there's one there. Okay, so I started making this video, and then I got messaged, and it kind of threw off the video. But here we go again. This knife, again, a combat knife, like the FX10 dagger, it is that 420 stainless, I believe, and problem with 420 stainless is it's kind of brittle, you know. That said, everything else about the knife I love. It's got that little broom handle thing, very fast. It's got this grip here. Hope I can capture it, but this thing that you cannot slip on that at all. On the grip, like again, that rubberized grip, you get a little bit of slippage, but this, I mean, you can death grip that. You'd lose a thumbnail before you'd ever slip on that. The edge is, you know, you can sharpen it probably like 18 to 29 degrees, depending on. I tend to go more for utility edge. A lot of guys will get knives like this and try to make them into razor blades. You know, it's a lot of sharpening for little payout. That said, this is a very sharp knife. Good cutting and fast. You know, like, I mean, it's one of my favorite. Like, as a fighting knife, I don't think there's too many fighting knives that are as cool in design as this. It's just so comfortable in the hand. It's light. It's fast. You know,